Ryan Poles doesn't care about your feelings. He doesn't care about how much you mean to this franchise. If you're old, you got a big contract, you're gone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside Tony Sapita. It's been a crazy last 24 hours for the Chicago Bears, starting off with Khalil Mack getting dealted to the LA Chargers. Yes, they are in LA now. I almost said San Diego. Now Danny Trevathan will be released after June 1st to save some money on the cap. Tarik Cohen has also been informed that he will be released on injury discretion. Eddie Goldman is actively being shopped. Holy cow, this guy went from quiet to, oh yeah, like the Kool-Aid man. So going off our last cap episode, the Bears now have roughly $41.2 million in cap right now. That can still improve though, because Ryan Poles has come out again and said, we're going younger, we're going faster, we're going more athletic. Bears are also going to have $121 million in cap as of right now next year. That number is still going up depending on things that are going to happen in the trade and potentially more guys that he's going to cut because he's literally like, so all things you want for sure in a draft. Getting more capital is always key. Eddie Goldman, even if we get a couple late round picks for him, I'm happy with. But Bears very well could have $53 million in cap over the next couple days. So, Tony, there are a lot of guys to resign. There's who's one guy on your list that from the Bears that you want to resign before you go into your full list?
Yeah, so I'd say probably the one guy, and I've really come around on it, is Bilal Nichols, and it might end up being a little expensive, but the reason is he is that younger guy, and I know he's maybe not, depending on what it sounds like Ryan Poles' plan is, he may not be the smallest guy, the smallest and fastest guy, which seems to be the kind of what he's going for. But I'm actually going to hit it on a guy even later, like in free agency, that we can go after that doesn't necessarily fit that mold, but he's a guy that he can still help you win. I understand the overall, Eddie's young. The overall structure we want is this fast, quick team that can get after the ball quick. But I still think you obviously have to have good players regardless of if they fit this perfect mold. So that's a guy I hope they resign.
And quick follow-up, I know we posted the episode yesterday showing our optimistic, quick reaction emotions to the Khalil Mack trade. Now that we know that the Bears are going to have $121 million in cap next year because of the trade, they had to chew up $24 million. We finally have the number. By the way, Ian Rappaport says one thing. Everyone else says another thing. The Bears did have to chew up $24 million in cap this year for Mack's trade, but they saved $28.5 million for next year. So overall, it works out really well for the Bears. Tony, now that the trade is done, I'm honestly okay with it. He was a warrior out there. He played injured all the time, but we need to do this rebuild thing right. And Mack was not in the picture, obviously.
There was a point last night after all the dust settled, because it was, obviously there was just a lot of news in general yesterday. There was just a lot going on. So kind of after everything calmed down, you're right. I thought about it. We got the real numbers. I love Khalil Mack. I think he was an awesome player. He's got some of the most fun defensive highlights you'll ever see. If we're going to be honest, he didn't play a lot the last couple of years. He didn't produce a lot for having this massive, massive contract. And if we were a defensive end away, or outside, whatever you want to classify him as, away from a Super Bowl, then I'm then I start to question Ryan Poles' decision. We got a lot to fill. We got a lot of people to re-sign. Yep. I'd rather use some of that money to re-sign Roquan Smith, stuff like that. So in the end, it had to be done. And I know people are complaining about the haul we got back. Again, it was a cap clear. I'm happy we got picked any sort of, top 2-round pick. So obviously it was a 2nd round pick. I do wish we got a this year 6th round pick. I think that
it is
finagled it. It's a 2023
6th round.
Yeah. I do wish that. I wish they were all the same year. That's a little weird, but either way, I'm not going to cry about the return, because you're right. That wasn't the point. The point was, and it's more of an indictment on Ryan Pace, who took a swing, and I respect it, but it just, it's not Ryan Poles' fault. He has to clean up the mess left by the previous regime.
Sure. Absolutely. So who's the quick contract re-signs from our current roster that you would take on, and how much would you get them for?
Yeah, so real quick. So I already mentioned Bilal Nichols. So 3 years, about $20 million. First year, $6 million cap hit. He may push for a little more, but I think we can, Ryan Poles can sell him on the vision and get him for a little bit less than maybe what he's asking for. Second is DeAndre Houston Carson, 1 year, $1.1 million. he's a good solid football player. Like they're,
great special teams
for anything more. Yeah, great special teams guy. If he's asking for anything more, that's where things get a little weird. He is replaceable in that aspect, but he's been in the system. He knows the guys. Might as well keep him around. James Daniels. So he kind of fits this mold that Ryan Poles is going for. We've talked about James Daniels. I think that he just it was just bad vibes with Matt Nagy, with everything else going with that offense, especially. So if we can get him at 4 years, $40 million, that first year being an $8.7 million cap hit, I think that would be great. Again, he might also try to ask for a little more, but there's a lot of offensive linemen on the free agent market. I think that we could definitely get away with that. Jakeem Grant, 1 year, $5 million, mostly for the return game. Honestly, only really for the return game in my eyes. Of course, he still could be a helpful, a little wide receiver, do some end arounds. But
now with Cohen gone, he fits the joystick kind of feel. Absolutely.
So allegedly, though, there's a significant interest going on. People are looking at, because he is such a weapon in the return game. Honestly, that Packers game really might have earned him a lot of money and potentially us some later picks if a team really wants to upgrade the return game. Pat Scales, 1 year, $700K. I'd give him honestly maybe up to $1 million just because great locker room guy. He's so dang good at his job, and he's pretty dang good at it. Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't realize that you
Pat
need
Scales, I love you. I love you. I would rather buy you a bunch of beer than give you cap money. You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
I will say maybe there are a ton of long snappers out there that I'm unaware of. I don't know, but that's a guy that you just need that to be right. You need that job to get done. And yeah, okay, maybe $1 million's a little overshooting it, but I think it's still a very valuable position, especially with how often we punt. And Pat O'Donnell, so 1 year, 1.1 mil. This one, I would love to keep him around. He's kind of a staple in Chicago. He's probably the best offensive player on our team.
Loves to go to Tao, by the way. Saw him at Tao twice now in my lifetime.
Well, there we go.
Loves to have a good time.
Yeah, so he reliable. Sounds like a guy's guy is what it sounds like for sure. Just probably shouldn't pay a punter too much more than that. He's earned it, though. He's definitely ingratiated himself with this team in this city. Just another guy that gets the job done. Had a lot of practice at it. No surprises. He's pretty good at what he does. So in total, in a dream world, according to our calculations here, so if we're a little bit off, we apologize. Please let us know in the comments. That leaves the Bears with approximately $30.4 million in a perfect world. And next year, the Bears will have approximately $121 million in cap. Again, it depends on specific how they structure the contracts, but they do need to resign Roquan Smith, someone I mentioned earlier, and Monty. We'll see what they do with that. We'll see what Khalil Herbert turns into. That may be something that Ryan Poles, he's not afraid to make a deal. We'll see. But holy shnikes, that'd be a lot of cap space, and I'd be happy with that going forward. So we should probably get into our free agency talk, who we want to sign with all that money, all that cash money that we got laying around, or we will have laying around in the near future. So, Nick, since you are on mute, I will.
Nope. I'm good. I'm good. I'm sorry. So apparently, I'm just reading a bunch of stuff that's going on with Ryan Poles. Apparently, Ryan Poles helped the New York Yankees see how they could handle their personnel and salary structure last year. So this guy knows how to manage money. Just putting that out there. I think that's kind of a cool thing. Like
Yankees have one of the worst, some of the worst signings right now, money wise, in my opinion. Giancarlo Stanton very overpaid, but I guess that was probably before him. Okay, but hey, I'm just a Yankees hater. That's my thing. But yeah, we should probably.
Let's go into the four guys that we want. Tony and I have two people each that we want the Bears to end up signing with this freed up cap space. Are they going to get them all? Absolutely not. But Ryan Poles might keep dealing. Robert Quinn, watch out. Just all I got to say. So my first guy is going to be Tyrann Mathieu, safety from the Chiefs. He wants to test the open market. He's 29 years old. He's 190 pounds. He's 5'9". Like, he's a tough guy. That's why they call him the Badger. Like, he's just crazy. He's a good football player. Won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He's two-time All-Pro in 2015, 2020, second team All-Pro in 2019, three-time Pro Bowler, whatever that means anymore these days, in 2015, 2020, and 2021. In his career, he has 610 tackles, 10 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 6 fumble recoveries, 76 pass deflections, 26 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. This guy has 2 to 3 solid years left in him. He fits also the mentality now that Khalil Mack is gone. Like, Who's that guy on defense that everyone's afraid of besides Roquan Smith? And we don't have Akeem Hicks coming back. And Robert Quinn's kind of like a soft-spoken crazy man. I want a loud-spoken crazy man. I want someone to be on the field, like pointing at people. Like, I'm going to come for you. Like, I'm coming for you right now. And just something that brings back that Bear football. You know what I mean? And, he's going to be a strong replacement for Tayshaun Gibson Sr. Because he's a ball hawk. He's a hard hitter and he's tough. He wants to win and he plays with a lot of emotion. His market value right now is $14 million though. So that chews up literally half of the money that we have left over from our predictions. But, there's still a lot of things that are happening right now. So that's one guy that I would love for the Bears to bring in. Tony, let's quickly go through your next one because we've hit on him a million times, but the Bears have a lot of interest in him.
Yeah, we'll fly through him real quick. Love the Honey Badger. Loved him in LSU. Never should have been suspended. It would be fun just because he is just a fun name to have on the team. A lot of money though, so we'd definitely have to make some moves. So my guy, I'm going to keep pounding the table until he signs with us or with someone else. And that's DJ Chark. We all know the stats on him. 6'4", 198, 25 years old, 2019 Pro Bowler again. What does that really mean? But either way, coming off a fractured left ankle, of course. And so I could go through all the stats, but instead I'm going to switch. I'm just going to say this. I've heard a couple people say, oh, another Jaguars receiver. We're going to go the Jaguars receiver out again. This is different. First of all, it worked out with Allen Robinson. It was just Matt Nagy's fault.
It's Matt Nagy's fault.
Yeah, that wasn't Allen Robinson's fault. Second, DJ Chark's a different receiver than Allen Robinson. He is that deep threat guy. He is the guy that can get downfield. I've given you all the stats about how he works downfield. So if you watch him play, he's a playmaker. 11.9 million for market value. And before kind of this Khalil Mack move and some of these other releases that may have been a little rich for our blood, it would have been our big move probably. But now that we've kind of freed up some space, this is a guy that I really think we can go after. I think we should go after that. We can maybe work his price out a little because of the injury. No offense to him, of course, just business. But yeah.
I do want to throw one thing out there, though, because it feeds into my next guy, too, is that we still have to deal with Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers for another year at least, because Davante Adams signed the tag. Aaron Rodgers is in the NFC North for 4 more years. So my next guy is also a defensive back. And why I think the Honey Badger would be great for the Bears is because he scares Aaron Rodgers. He actually looks at him and goes, nope, you're not coming my way. And he's also very good at defending some of the best of the best. He's worked with Tyreek Hill in practice. So Davante Adams is quick, big guy, can get it done. But the reason why I'm going with this guy, J.C. Jackson, cornerback for the Patriots, is because I think he'd be a perfect fit in with Jalen Johnson. He's young at 26 years old. He's big at 6'1", 198. But his stats in 2020 and 2022 are just insane. 8 interceptions, 23 pass deflections. I'm going to repeat that. 23 pass deflections in a single season, 1 forced fumble, 56 combined tackles, 44 of those being solo. He's not afraid to get in your face. He's a ball hawk. And he's going to hurt you. That's what I love about this guy. Not actually. We don't want pain in players. But, it's football. You go out and you hit somebody. You are legally able to go out and beat the crap out of somebody. That is what, even though the refs are soft, that is what I want this guy to come in and do. He made $3.8 million last year because it was his last year of his rookie contract. He's likely going to look for closer to $8 to $10 million. And that's half of what Kyle Fuller wanted. So if I had to choose between the Honey Badger and this guy, I'm going to go with him because he's cheaper, he's younger, and we can re-sign Tayshaun Gibson Sr. to another 1-year, $1.3 million contract. And he's still not that bad. So Tony, last guy you're going to go into before we close out, but I am going strictly with the money that we got from all these trades. I am upgrading our secondary and drafting linemen and drafting wide receivers through the draft.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad plan. Real quick breaking news: David Ross for the Cubs, obviously manager, got
extended. I saw that. For what? For what?
We could maybe do a different episode on that one, but yeah, we'll get into my last guy and we'll get out of here.
I'm a Cubs fan, and for what? No offense.
I'm a Sox fan. I enjoy it. I think that was the right move. So
just go to your last guy, Tony.
My last guy here, Roger Staffold, I believe is how that's pronounced. So he's guard from the Titans, and although he himself, I have some stats for him. This is the overall argument for a guy like him. There's a lot of linemen like him that are going to be on the market. So it doesn't have to specifically be him, but someone that fits this mold. So he was released the other day by the Titans. I believe it was yesterday. So they wanted to save, I think it was $10.4 million in cap. 33 years old, he's 33 years old. He's old, and I'll get into all that. He's 6'5", 325. He's a huge guy. Again, doesn't fit the polls model, the mold that he's trying to build. He went to his first Pro Bowl last season again. What does that mean? I think it still means something with the Titans. He was also second team All-Pro in 2017. That's important. All-Pro is everything.
That's impressive.
Was a part of the Rams Super Bowl in their Super Bowl run. They didn't win it, obviously, but that was in 2018. Out of the 160 games he's played, he started 157 of them. That is the consistency I'm about to hit on here. Crazy little stat. Out of 7,873 offensive snaps, he's only been penalized 53 times. That's 0.006% of the time that he's been getting in trouble. And as Bears fans, when we're getting penalized every other snap, it's nice to have a guy that he's just a professional. He's just not going to get beat constantly, just have to hold and, move him back on first down. So arguably, Nick, I'm sure you'd agree with this. One of the biggest issues with the Bears offensive line was health, staying on the field. That's why we signed Jason Peters off a damn fishing boat. Rodgers is reliable. And again, it's not just him. There are other guys like this. This is just the guy specifically picked. So one of the big drawbacks, he is old, which is not on Poles' radar, but he is a strong veteran. I know both literally and figuratively strong. I know we want to get younger. We want to get faster, blah, blah, blah. But a guy like this could be a good bridge to either the next draft or to a future free agent. Another guy, maybe we see, he's got 1 year left on his contract. We'll get him next year when we have 121 million in our pocket. So the rebuild. So my last point here is the rebuild we're allegedly trying to do, which I trust Ryan Poles to do, but it's definitely, it's gotten off to a hot start. It's going to take more than 1 year. Probably. It's not going to be like the Bulls where they just rebuilt like basically in an offseason. Fields doesn't need a fast, small, inexperienced lineman, or at least 5 of them. You can get away with maybe 3 of them. He needs reliable, battle-tested professionals to help him develop, because that's the most important part. You can have the best offensive line in the world, but if he's just acting like Sam Darnold out there, it's not going to do anything for you. So we saw, as we saw a lot last year, it's hard to learn your reads and make plays when you're lying on your back. So again, it's not just this guy. That's my argument for a guy like him, but he's the guy I chose.
And I agree. Could be good, especially with Whitehair has a big contract. If the Bears end up getting rid of him too, you never know. Bring in this guy for a 1 year, not cheap contract, but good contract and move on from that. But with that, a lot of Bears news. Wish best of luck to all the guys that the Bears ended up cutting. We're going to miss them a lot as they were fan favorites, but we are looking onto the future, and that's what Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are doing as well. So with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside Tony Cepeda. We'll see you guys next time.